Just
Okay, and here we are live with the industry session. So this is an experiment of sorts. We wanted to see, like the neuroscience community is only so successful because of this collaboration that we have with industry, who built the cool things that we use and who produce the books that are really useful for our teaching in all these components. So therefore, we thought we should experiment with how we can kind of get industry involved in these online meetings, not just as like as a source of funding, which is very common for conferences, but as actually a participant. So we put out a call to ask who wanted to participate among publishers and companies of all kinds. And we will basically, as an experiment, give each of them 10 minutes and see what the cool things are, what they're doing. And I think there's a lot of exciting things going on in that space. And I hope for everyone, please provide feedback how well this is working for you and how we could be doing that better. And after this introduction, our first speaker here is Ajmal from MindTrace. I'm very much looking forward to your presentation, Ajmal.
Hey, thanks, Conrad. So yeah, Conrad has actually pointed out that maybe I started with the last slide, but it's supposed to be the first one, because you said it's an experiment, and at the end, almost no one's listening anymore. At the beginning, everyone is. So I wanted to say thank you to Neuromatch for actually organizing all of this. This is a lot of work, and inviting people from industry is not a given. So thanks for that, Conrad, and all the other organizers as well. So as you already said, yes, I'm Ajmal from MindTrace, and I just have a few slides prepared, nothing too crazy, just so you can ask questions later on. So what is it that we do? We are in essence just a technology provider that focuses on collecting data through webcams. We've been mainly focusing on eye tracking and emotion tracking. At the beginning, we just focused on the commercial sector, like what marketing companies would want and what happens in marketing and market research industry. But because we've been having, our own research background is actually neuroscience, that now when this whole thing started with everybody staying home and everything, we've been approached by so many people that we thought, maybe we should expand this a little bit to make this accessible to many more. So, and these are the emotions we are collecting. So it's the 7 basic ones that most likely all of you have heard of: happy, surprise, sad, anger, disgust, fear, and content. And I must apologize if you hear a cat in the background complaining. It's mine, because he doesn't like it that I've been working all day. So how does it actually work if you wanted to make use of us? In essence, it's super straightforward. You get into our system, you set up an experiment, and all that gives you is an experiment ID and password. Then you go into your online experiment, whichever one you have set up. You can have set up any type of experiment builder, or your own JavaScript code. You use our API, and there you provide the ID and password so it connects with our system. Then you just run your standard experiments, and when all is done, you download your results from our system. That's basically it. No proprietary file formats, just plain and simple CSV files. So this is an example of how that would look like. We've been working with Gorilla, which is an experiment builder. It's been used by lots of universities. And there you have these blocks, which are in essence tasks. And there you can see, I actually don't know if you can see the mouse. Oh yeah, you can. This is then simply just the MindTrace setup. And in this block, you just add this code, and this code does all for you. It's just literally, this is the experiment ID you get, and this is the password. You add here your own unique identifier, so you know which participant you get the data from, so you can match it up. And then it connects with the system. It runs the calibration for you. And if things go wrong in the meantime, all the error handling is taken care of. So you really don't have to worry about any of this. And because you can see on the right side, this is just plain and simple JavaScript code. You can use it with Pavlovia, JSPsych, PsychoPy, Gorilla, LabVance, I think, is another one, or whichever one you want to make use of if you self-host it. So then we've been asked a lot, obviously, about the accuracy. And these are the raw numbers. But I noticed that to a lot of people, this doesn't say much. So you can see here on the left, it's just a simple video of the fixation detection that would happen of a single person, so that you can roughly see, okay, this is not just, oh, I can distinguish if somebody looks left or right, but actually where people are looking. And here a little bit of the gaze flow itself during the calibration time. But this can be played with in many, many different ways. And it also depends, of course, on the sampling frequency you see is between 25 and 30 hertz. We generally like to sample higher, but as you know, with online experiments, it varies, but we try to take the best connection of the participants. All right, oh, it starts again. So if you want to use us, please just contact us via email. You can see the Twitter handle on the bottom right. You can also contact us through there. We've been approached by a few, and I mean, I'm coming originally from the Donors Institute, so obviously I'm very glad that they approached us, and we start looking at work collaborations. University of Vienna, we already did, and are setting up the next one. And in the past few days, UCL and MIT have approached us as well. So yes, please ask.
Awesome. This was a great talk. I'll clap instead of everyone else, because everyone else cannot be heard here.
Thank you.
This seems incredible. So let me make sure I really understand it. So basically, at the end, I have like traces where I know where you looked at as a function of time, and I also have a trace kind of what your emotion was as a function of time. And yes, I can then sync that up with like my internal experiment. So I can basically get like eye tracking and emotion tracking for free with what's already there.
Yes. I mean, it's not fully free, but you basically can integrate it directly. Yes, that's true. Unfortunately, the servers and everything cost money.
That people don't pay you for it, but I mean, like, it's basically making the experiments that people do richer by doing.
Yes. That was the whole idea. Yeah.
So what about, like, I have a question from Titipat here, who asks, are there about hardware specifications? So like, what kind of, like, no, there must be like hardware needs that you have before it works. No, like 1 degree probably requires a good camera to get started.
Right. So what we do is that there are multiple things that we need to take into account. So for example, let's say you had a 4K webcam. If your internet connection is bad, the 4K actually don't even make it, because your browser decides, you know what, I'm not gonna send 4K. The internet connection is terrible. So it's a mix of the internet connection and the camera that you have. But what happened so far is that in the past 12 years, there has been no webcam that has been shipped out that's below 720p. And that's already really, really high quality for what we do. And that's basically what we have been using. If you go to HD, it's even better. But most of the time, we saw actually that the internet connection is the bottleneck. And if the connection breaks up, or if it starts to become below a certain level, then what we do is we basically, we try to interpolate over it to still get the best. But if it stays too bad for too long, we basically tell the participants, okay, look, this is not, it's not working.
Yeah, that makes sense. So here I have another question that
there is
interested in, and that's certainly, there's the cat. People had been asking for the cat earlier. But the question is, does it work with monkeys? Now, it's a big pain point for a lot of people doing eye tracking with monkeys.
Online?
No, if it would work offline, they would be perfectly happy with it.
We have not tried that, in all honesty, yet. We have not tried it. It might. I can't guarantee that for the emotion tracking, though, but for the eye tracking, it might.
But if the eye tracking with monkeys would work, and you could do that with a webcam, I'd imagine there would be a good number of people really interested in that. Certainly, I know a few people would be interested in it. So what about the delay? So Paul is asking how low the delay can be.
Yeah, so the delay, it really, that also depends on the hardware again. And because every webcam, so for example, now I'm running it through this stream through a USB webcam, that already makes a huge difference on the delay and also on the if it's an internal webcam. So what happens is that we can get delays of max. Well, I shouldn't say max. I should say we can have delays of, let's say, to get started 50 milliseconds or something. So it's about two frames. It's doable. It's not seconds. That would be terrible.
It's not quite enough for gaze contingent displays, but it's certainly enough to like do meaningful things with gaze.
Yes.
Okay, this was fantastic. Thanks so much. It was great seeing
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks for joining us here.